YouTube, hello, Retro Reclaimer here. I've got a video response today. I've literally just finished watching a video put out by Retro Import Gamer. 10 things I hate about video games. It's a rant, but like a fun rant. You know, he's not crazy serious about everything. And it's super fun to watch, so I highly recommend you go and watch that video if you haven't done so already. Obviously, I'll leave a link in the description. So yeah, as soon as I watched it, I went to leave a comment. I thought, no, I'm doing a full response. I want to have a go at this. Uh, I've not touched on anything that he's touched on, so I'm ranting about different things. As far as I'm pretty sure they're all different. Some of the stuff that he said, I agreed with. A couple I didn't. But yeah, I thought I'm gonna do a response and get my own hates out there. Ouija, come here. Sniffing his presents. Luigi's. Oh, so I'm not in the games room because it is Santa's grotto at the moment. There's no space up there, and Luigi wants to run about smashing his toys and whatever. So it's easy just to be in here with a space because you can't leave me. If I go upstairs, he's following me. Right. So number 10, a game remakes. So not so much as there's different kinds of sort of remakes and remasters. So for example, if you think of Resident Evil, sort of the recent remakes of those, so Resident Evil 2, they remade it, but complete new engine, rebuilt the game up, from the ground up, and there's slight variations in the story. So I'm all for them because you get a different experience, a more modern experience, in a very different way. But one thing I don't particularly like is remakes of a game just coming out and it's just had a touch of paint. It's just got a glossy finish to it. Let's release it on this console, chuck loads of money on it, and all we're gonna do is just 60 FPS. Let's give it some of the, it frustrates me. A good example maybe is Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Majora's Mask. So those two games on the N64 released originally there. Then after that, they're released on the GameCube. They're released on the 3DS. They come everywhere. And I know there's probably collectors out there with all copies across all systems. And I just find it frustrating. So if I see a game that's remastered, so for example, I've got one to show you, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. So this is just a remake of Crash Team Racing, and I believe there was another one called Crash Team Racing Nitro or something like that, and it's like a collaboration of them both. But you get extra skins, obviously, because it all looks a lot better, probably runs smoother. But just keep the game where it was. I've got it on the PlayStation upstairs. I want to play it on the PlayStation the way I remember it. If you want to play a game from your childhood or from the past, you want to play it the way it was. So I've not played much of PS3 or PS4, but there's games I'd like to play, like Uncharted, Last of Us. When I play those games, I'll play them on the systems that they originally came out for. I hate remasters. I hate just playing remastered versions of games. It frustrates me. It probably don't frustrate everyone, but this is my response. This is my video, so you're gonna get what frustrates me. Next, let's see. Right, so this one really ticks me off more so with collecting and displaying. I mean, I quite like the names of these games, but just to give you an example, you've got Tomb Raider Definitive Edition remake, and then you've got the second, which is Rise of the Tomb Raider. Now, when you put those alphabetically in your shelf, you can't have Tomb Raider 1, 2, 3, 4 like you could in the past. You've got to mesh your system up a bit just to have them in the order that they were released. So that the third one is Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Now, if I put those in alphabetically and had no other games, in between, I'd have Shadow of the Tomb Raider, then Rise of the Tomb Raider, and then at the end I'd have the first Tomb Raider. They'd be backwards, and it just frustrates me. It does my head in. There's other games where they put it's sort of like the second version, but they'll put a title before it, and when you come to look for it on your shelf, it's difficult to find. It just does my head in. Just call it Tomb Raider 2, Lara Croft. I don't know. To be fair, I do like the title, but it's just frustrating when it comes to display them. Right, this one really gets me going. So you buy a game, whether it's from CEX, eBay, or wherever. Usually eBay, you can have a better look. But you buy a game. So I've got an example here: The Incredibles on the Xbox. Nothing expensive. Doesn't have to be crazy. But you buy the game. Yeah, it's not the classics version. It's just the standard version. All good. Yeah, manuals in there. All good. And then the disc has got classics written on it. It's a wrong bloody disc. All it needs is that classics gone. That disc has come from a classics version of this game where the cover art is different and sometimes the manual's different. And now I've got a game that's all mixed up, which is no good to me. I hate it. It's a good game, this, by the way, and that's probably why I've not got rid of it. And when I do find another one, it's cheap enough to grab, but it would have been better if I just got it right in the first place. I don't even know where I got this game from, but it does my head in. You can have it the opposite way. You can buy a PS2 Platinum game, and then the disc inside isn't the silver Platinum disc. It's just so frustrating. Who changes these around? If I worked in a game shop, that's something that'd be there. Right, that's not the right disc. It's got to be the other one. But I suppose not all people are like me, and there's probably a lot of you out there who don't really care. But again, that's another thing that frustrates me. Right, this does my head in. So I'm a big fan of steel books. I find them amazing. So I'm going to give you a good example of some steel books. So this one, for example, really nice, well presented steel book here. So you've got you've got a slip cover. You've got a nice presentable box, great artwork, and then you've got the steel book inside. Again, great artwork, nice and shiny, heavy. It feels quality. The game's inside. You've also got other bits in there, but that's the game. Okay, brilliant. So older examples on the 360, you used to get them like this. So you'd get a steel book and you'd get a front a slip cover. They'd be pretty much exactly the same as usually the slip cover has on the back. It's got the I don't know what you call it. It's not a blurb, is it? Some images and whatever. But you always get this nice textured, sometimes shiny, great graphics, real nice. They look brilliant. I always go for if there's a steelbook version of a game, I'll always get the steelbook version. But then something that they do so strangely, so weirdly. So I've got an example here of a game on the Xbox One. So this is the limited edition of Halo Master Chief Collection. So we go in and we have a look, and it comes with a steelbook, so you're like, oh, brilliant. But they give you a normal case as well. So you've got the game with the game inside, and then they just give you a steelbook with nothing in it. What's the point in having both of them? I just don't get it. And another example of this, one which is worse, in fact. In fact, I've got two examples. So, really lovely Pokemon game, boxed, steelbook version. Oh yes, brilliant. You open this box, and you have a look at your game. Same again. You've got the actual game with the game inside, some manuals and stuff as well. It's a rarity these days. Lovely steelbook with nothing because the game's inside the normal case. What do you do with both of them? I quite like these. I've got the Moon version as well, and I do like how it displays just as it is. I mean, the steelbook looks a lot better on its own, to be honest, but I kind of like it. And then you've just got no thought whatsoever. You buy Pokemon Legends Arceus, and it comes with a steelbook. the steelbook just comes sort of separate. The game stays in here, and then you've just got an empty steelbook. Great artwork, great display piece. We never work with children or animals. Right. We should be good. Stay away. So, we've got the game and a steelbook. So what am I supposed to do? Take the cartridge out here, put it in there, and then what do I do with that? I just find it frustrating. Just stick to this way. Just release. Right, yeah, steelbook version, yeah, no problem, there it is. I don't understand. It frustrates me. Right, number 6. This is annoying. The Pokeball Plus. Great little peripheral. You know, if you're a Pokemon fan like me, it's not food. If you're a Pokemon fan like me, the fact that you can play a Pokemon game on the Switch with a Pokeball, little joystick there, it's got buttons, and you throw it. Obviously, you don't really throw it, but you throw it, and that throws your Pokeball. Amazing. Great idea. So, that came out when Let's Play Pikachu and Let's Play Eevee came out. Worked fantastic for those games. Obviously, Pokemon, you don't need many buttons, do you? But then, future Pokemon games, you can use it for Pokemon Go as well, but it's a bit big to just have in your pockets and walk around catching Pokemon off the streets. But you can't use it for anything else. So, Let's Play Pikachu, perfect, works brilliant, real good fun. The latest Pokemon Violet, there's no use for it whatsoever. Pokemon Shield and Sword, no use for it whatsoever. Like, it just frustrates me that they couldn't have thought, people have bought these, and they weren't cheap. People have bought these. When we release Pokemon games, let's at least have it as a controller that works. You know, maybe have some of those same functions. I understand that this Pokemon game is very different to this one, but it's very frustrating for me to have something that's so cool, but has no use. There's no use to it whatsoever unless I go back and play this. Again, frustrating. It's now just a display piece, which, when you're collecting and you've got a room full of stuff, it's not the end of the world, but I'd like to use it. Right, we're getting there. So, stop fighting with each other. Get away. All unedited footage here. This is my life exactly. I've got a dog that just runs all over the place. She's don't want nothing to do with him. He's 1, she's 7, 8 maybe, and he comes near and she's just get away, and they just egg each other on. They do my head in, but they're not video game related, so they've not made the list. Right, so this one, so number 4, I'm at 4. Obviously, I've had to write these down. No, sorry, I'm at number 5. So we're halfway there. I'll speed up a bit now. So special editions that come out, and I don't have any examples because it puts me off. I will not buy special editions that just come with a digital download code for the game, no disc. It's ridiculous, and I know this is something that frustrates everyone, but you get a special edition of a game. Again, I'll show the same example. This is a great example. You know, the disc is in there. You've got everything you need. But to release a special edition of a game that costs more than just the game itself, you might get a statue, you might get a calendar, you might get a poster or whatever, but there's no game inside. You've got to download it off the internet. I just find it frustrating. It's a collect. If people collect, they want to collect the game. There's a lot of people who will buy special editions. I think Halo 5, for example, the console releases, Halo 5. In fact, I've got the Halo version of Xbox Series X. It comes, you know, perfect looking console. The box art is all Halo. A digital download code for the game. What are you doing? Get off. A digital download code for the game. It's just, they know collectors want this stuff, but they don't put it in there. It's like they do it purposely just to piss us off. So that frustrates me. And yeah, I tend not to collect special editions if they don't come with a physical game. This brings me on to the next issue I have in terms of physical games and stuff like that, where it probably doesn't really matter that the game's not physical, because at some point in the future, I mean, probably the best example I can show you, Halo the Master Chief Collection. I bought this day one. Broken. The most broken game I've ever played. The single player stuff, fine. Multiplayer, it took me about 9 months before I could actually play and enjoy a full game. It took that long for them to figure out how to sort the servers out or whatever. Um, you can't, in some point in the future, at some point in the future, this game will not work. The servers for the Xbox will be down. Xbox could go bust for all we know. Do you know what I mean? I know it's unlikely, but you're probably all right for the next 10, 15 years. Maybe after that, things might change. But at some point, a lot of Xbox One games, PS4, and certainly anything after that will lose the functionality. So as retro game collectors, we know that I know that as long as I've got a working Xbox 360, I can put this game in and boot it up and play the full game. No updates, no internet required. Anything from the Xbox One onwards, PS4 onwards, some mine, but majority of the games, you'll not be able to do anything. What are you doing? You can't just bite me. Stop. They might not work. So it frustrates me to think that I don't have it, and for that reason I don't collect Xbox One or other sort of consoles from those generations onwards, because I have this fear that if I was to collect and have 100 games for the Xbox One, at some point in the future they'd be worthless. They're just display pieces only. So that's number 4. Right, coming in at the last 3. So in number 3, I could probably argue that this can go on. Right, enough. No. I could probably argue that this could be... No. 1 second. Stupid bloody dog keeps biting me. So, yeah, I could probably argue this at the top of my list, but it's made number 3. And it is Fortnite. I'm sick to death of Fortnite. Don't get me wrong, I played it. There was a time where I was really into it. I'd have the battle pass and I'd play it with some of you guys online. I'd play it with Oscar, I had fun with it. But it just won't piss off. It just won't go. And what makes it worse is Oscar, my son, 10 years old, all he does is talk about Fortnite. He gets up in the morning and he wants to put YouTube on whilst he's having his breakfast. It's got to be Fortnite. He can't... If you ask him a question, he replies, Fortnite. If he don't want anything for Christmas, he don't want anything for his birthday other than V-Bucks and Fortnite. And it drives me insane that we'll buy him these V-Bucks. And I know it's the day and age, but we'll buy him these V-Bucks. And I'm a hypocrite because I'll buy games. Most of those games I've just shown you, I don't touch. This one I bought probably several months ago, and I've never even done anything with it. So I know I'm a hypocrite. But he wants money for new skins, so his character looks different on the game. So you give him the money, he gets these new skins, and then he's bored of them. Do you know what I mean? It's got about 150, probably more, different skins, different playable skins or characters or whatever you want to call them. Where do you draw the line? But it just frustrates me how Fortnite is the only game that he'll play. He's hooked on it, and I know a lot of kids are and a lot of adults, but he won't. If he tries other games, he struggles. He don't understand them. He don't understand how to play a role-playing game. He doesn't understand how to play racing games. Got no interest. All he wants to play is Fortnite. It drives me insane. Drives me up the wall. Anyone who's got kids is probably the exact same. Right, last 2. So the lack of co-op split-screen games. you go back to the 360, you go back to the original Xbox, PS2, all those sort of things, GameCube. A lot of party games, a lot of games with a decent story or a campaign, and an option to play it split screen co-op, or a multiplayer mode where four of you can be on one console and you're shooting each other or whatever. The older Call of Duties used to have it. You could get four people on a 360, split screen. Nowadays, you can't play anything. I try and have a look. In fact, I googled party games on the Xbox, and there's just nothing. There's these indie games like Human Fall Flat, and there's stuff where you can have a bit of fun on, but nothing serious. To a point where, because we obviously it's Christmas time, family wants to, you want to do stuff with family. So I ended up getting the expansion pass for the Switch so that I could play Nintendo 64 games, Mario Party and the likes of that. So that we've got games what we can play on the same screen with a few of us. It just frustrates me how there's very little effort into that sort of stuff. And I know there are like that the Amico, and I know there's different games and different sort of pushes for that stuff, but it's so minimal. And especially when you think of Xbox and PlayStation, they're not really designed geared up. Nobody, they don't seem to care for that couch co-op play, or not even just co-op but multiplayer. Everything has to be online these days. Think Star Wars Battlefront. The first two Battlefront games on the original Xbox PlayStation were fantastic. There's very little to argue about. You play it single player on your own and you can enjoy being the best person on the battlefield. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Now, the newer ones, you've got to play online, and it's carnage. You play one of those new Star Wars Battlefront games, well, they're not new anymore, but you jump online on one of those, and all you're doing is just dying. You might get a couple of kills, but you're just dying. Like, why is there not an option just to play the game that it was, but maybe split screen? Battlefront 2 has something similar, but it doesn't have the full experience. But why not have the option to play offline, and they're all just bots running around, a bit like you've got on Fortnite, where you can easily kill them because it's more fun being the best on just frustrates me that that's something that we've lost, and I think that's so. I don't know. We, in our own opinions, what's been lost through history in terms of gaming affects people differently. Whatever. That's something that I feel really gutted to have lost, is that ability just to sit there, chuck a game on, and then it's split screen no matter what the game is. Right, final. Coming in at number one. Coming in at number one is retro game collecting, the price of some of the games. Now, I want to play the games original on the original hardware because it's like a little weird thing that, obviously on this video we all do it, but for me personally it's a little weird thing I've got where I like to play old consoles on old TVs with blowing the cartridge, old controllers. It's what I do for fun. It's something I find fun. Why does it cost an arm and a leg? Why does it cost? I want to play Pokemon Crystal. Why does it cost a couple £100? It's a joke. And the Pokemon games are the very top of what frustrates me with the price of games. Pokemon Red and Blue, two of the some of the, in fact, they're the best selling role playing game ever. The amount of copies that they've sold, everyone, when I was a kid, everybody had at least red or blue or yellow or gold or silver. Everybody had them. There's loads of them about. If you go on eBay or CX or wherever, you're not going to struggle to find them. So why do they cost hundreds of pounds? It don't make sense. They cost hundreds of pounds for what now is such an old, boring game, but they cost that much because people want to pay that much just because they want to have it. Why can't retro gaming, in terms of business and in terms of collecting and all that sort of stuff, why can't people just fuck off paying all this grand amount of money? There's some games which are like thousands of pounds. It is beyond a joke. They're old games that 20 years from now, there's not going to be many people who give a damn about them. They're not. I've got this games room. Anyone with kids will be the same. Oscar's not interested. I could take him in there and play some games, and I love it. I love it when he does. But 90% of the games in that room, he could not give a damn about. If I died, he wouldn't be in that room playing those games. They'd be getting sold. My missus would be like that. Come on, lad, we're going on holiday. They'd be gone. Nobody's going to care about them. So why do they cost hundreds and hundreds of pounds? You think, right, if you don't own a particular Nintendo console, it's almost pointless buying one. You buy one. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of games that you can get just cartridge only that are cheap enough, but you want to collect the boxes. It's sort of it's just a thing you've got. Why does it have to cost a fortune? That is definitely number one, but especially the Pokemon games. There's loads of them, but anything. If you write, if I have a piece of paper and I write Pokemon on it, it's worth hundreds of pounds. Pokemon is just gold. I don't get it. There's so much. It's like the highest grossing franchise in the world. More than Marvel Cinematic Universe, more than Star Wars, more than Harry Potter. It is massive. There's more Pokemon on the planet than anything else. Yet it still costs a fortune for the old games that nobody cares about. I'm done. This felt really good. Obviously, yeah, it's, again, I'll reiterate, tongue in cheek, a bit of fun. But I enjoyed doing this, and I certainly enjoyed watching Retro Import Gamer. But yeah, it'd be great to see other people's doing VRs to his video. So, like I said, I'll leave a link below. Go and watch these, and yeah, let's have some fun. See you next time. Bye bye.